Chapter 1. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Once the library opened its doors at 9 in the morning, the 7 or 8 people waiting entered, all of them with gray hair. Today was Monday. It was different from the weekends when many parents would bring their children to the city library to read. Usually only retired old people came to the library on working days. Outside the library was a busy world. The library itself was quiet, with only the sound of pages being flipped. At 10 o'clock, more people started coming to the library. Tang Yamo sat in front of the computer to help check out the books. His left hand tapped the keyboard and entered the serial number of the book. His right hand clicked on the mouse to confirm. After doing all of this, he looked up. "You have borrowed a book for nearly a month now. Haven't you finished reading it?" The middle-aged woman in front of him smiled and shook her head. "No, my son is a slow reader." "Is there a problem if the book isn't returned in a month?" Tang Yamo explained. 1 month is the free period. After that, I need to collect the library fee of 1 yuan a day. He paused and added, "If you lose the book, you would have to compensate by paying the original price. This book is 82 yuan. The woman's expression changed. "It is so expensive. Okay, I will go home today and tell that boy to read the book quickly." She turned around and left. Tang Yamo looked at the woman striding away, his handsome face not showing much expression. He took the next person's library card and swiped it. Not finished. "I think she lost the book." A crisp female voice rang out. Tang Yamo swiped while speaking, "Maybe." There was disdain in the female voice. "A library card is 50 yuan and that book is 82 yuan. I don't think she will come here again. I also don't think she will come again." Director Wang, who was in charge of the reception work, came over and patted Tang Mo's shoulders. "Xiao Tang, go and see what that huckster is doing. I just saw him go to the corner where there is no monitoring. Make sure he doesn't do anything." TL. I chose huckster because it was an English translation that one dictionary site provided me, but it is more like a swindler who uses religion and superstitions to obtain illegal benefits. Tang Yamo nodded and walked to the corner. The Suzhou City Library was located in the center of the city and had a total of 3 floors. The 3rd floor was mostly books on humanities and history. Tang Yamo walked from the help desk to the southeast corner. He passed more than 30 bookshelves before finding the huckster. In November, Suzhou was a bit chill and the winds howled outside the window. The window shook because of it, but the sunlight shining through the window was warm. The huckster sat cross-legged on the floor by the window. He had 5 or 6 books scattered around him in a haphazard manner. He wasn't even looking at a book as he placed his hands in his hair and made the messiness worse. Tang Mo's lips pursed as he walked over and picked up a book. "Mr. Chen, our library has tables and chairs. You can read books over there." "Read book. Read books. What book am I reading?" Tang Yamo looked at the book he had just picked up. "The Secret Behind the Mayan Civilization's Disappearance." The huckster suddenly raised his head and looked at Tang Yamo with bloodshot eyes, asking in horror, "Do you know the secret behind the Mayan civilization's disappearance?" Tang Mo's lips curved upwards. "I don't know, do you?" "I know, of course I know." The huckster got up and said, "They have offended God. Their religion is based on false gods, not the true God. They offended God, so they are all dead. God is the only eternal being. Offending him is death." Tang Yamo had heard these words many times and didn't pay attention to them. The library was an open place and had seen many things. The huckster might be shocking, but he didn't have a mental illness. He was only fanatical about religion and they couldn't run him away because of that. Tang Yamo asked casually, "Where is the real God?" The huckster's expression suddenly froze. Tang Yamo smiled, picked up the pile of books and turned to walk away. He had asked the huckster this question many times. The huckster had started coming to this library a year ago. All day long, he would find a seat that he divined was lucky and babble. But once the staff members asked him the question about who God was, he would shut up and leave the library after a while. Tang Mo held the books and prepared to leave. He had just turned his head when he heard a deep and mysterious voice behind him. God is there. Tang Mo's footsteps paused. He turned to look. The huckster was standing by the window, pointing at a giant black tower hovering over the city. He gave a fanatical smile and said, God is coming. Tang Mo. As long as he was happy. The bus that Tang Mo took home from work every day passed through the city center. He sat at the window seat and listened to music through earbuds. The song ended, allowing him to hear the conversation of two high school female students. The Black Tower. I'll take a photo. You are still taking photos. What is so good about this thing? No one wants to look at it now. I will send it around my friend's circle. The title is A Day Trip to the Black Tower. No one will like it. Hey, the man sitting by the window is very handsome. If you take a photo of him, then many people will praise it and your popularity will shoot up. You should call it, Bus Brother. You have to take a photo. As the next song played, Tang Mo raised his right hand to block his face and turned to look out the window, not caring about the two girls. His eyes lifted and he looked at the black tower suspended over Suzhou. The black tower stood in the air among the city's tall buildings. The tower was in a quadrangular pyramid, similar to the Egyptian pyramids. However, it was black. Not gold. Its base spanned the entire city center of Suzhou, almost cover the city. The cold moonlight passed through the black tower and shone on the ground without any hindrance. 6 months ago, the tower suddenly appeared in the center of Suzhou. Tang Mo had headed to the library for work. He had hastily left in the morning without watching the news. But once he was on the streets, all of Suzhou was abuzz. The buses couldn't be seen and the taxis wouldn't stop. All the cars were driving to the city center in a frenzy. Tang Mo had just woken up and couldn't figure things out. Then he looked up and saw the huge black tower. All of his sleepiness disappeared in an instant. Tang Mo almost thought it was 2012 and this was the end of the world. How could there be such a big thing? He didn't see it when he got off work last night. How could it suddenly appear here? At first, Tang Mo thought it was something the country constructed. People on the internet often boasted that the country's infrastructure was very good. They could build an overpass overnight, making the foreigners feel envy. He didn't realize until he finally got a taxi and arrived in the city center, looking up with the crowd. The tower was actually completely suspended in mid-air. Completely suspended. At least 100 meters from the ground. How could humans make a castle in the air? The big LED screen in the city center broadcasted the news. At 8 o'clock in the morning, 1,021 strange towers appeared in our major cities and seas. It is also reported that at the same time, the black towers appeared on a large scale around the world. Please don't panic. The country has set up relevant departments to investigate this black tower incident. We invited Professor Luo, of the Physics Department of Peking University, to explain the issues related to the black tower incident. We are now connected with Professor Luo. World. End. Day. Everyone panicked. Tang Mo couldn't go to work for 2 days. Many people drove to the countryside, trying to get as far away from the black tower as possible. However, the state maintained a very good social organization. 3 days later, Tang Mo received a notice to return to work. After a week, many people came back after seeing that the black tower showed no movements. Now it was 6 months later and the black towers had become tourist attractions. In the first few months, people wearing white research uniforms came to the bottom of the black tower every day. They moved some large instruments and checked for unknown things. Now they only came to check once every 3 days, and the stores near the Black Tower resumed their operations. Tang Mo supported his chin with a hand and looked calmly at the Black Tower. The bus turned a corner, leaving the Black Tower behind. It was no longer visible. That evening, Tang Mo casually ate a meal before opening his computer and logging into QQ. Then a chat box popped up. Victor. I'm sorry. I've been busy these days and might not have time to play together. Tang Mo looked at the chat window. The news he sent last week only got a reply today. It seemed he really was very busy. Grinding sugar. Never mind. We will play together when you are free. After sending the message, Tang Mo opened the bridge game software. But at this time, Victor actually came online and replied quickly. Victor. Come play a game. I have a little bit of time. Grinding sugar. Good, smiley. Tang Mo invited Victor into the room and the game soon began. Tang Mo had been playing bridge for 5 years. When he was a freshman, he had a roommate who was obsessed with bridge, stating that it was a IQ test game. However, less than 1 month later, the roommate had moved on to other things while Tang Mo quietly continued to play bridge for 5 years. In the middle of the game, Tang Mo found a chance to take the contract. His eyes flashed and he hadn't played the card yet when he saw that Victor suddenly pulled out a K of clubs. Tang Mo's mind became blank. Victor's card killed his chance of making a contract. Had Victor made a mistake? Bridge was a 2v2 game. Tang Mo had met Victor on the internet a year ago. The two people played together and had a tacit understanding. In addition, Victor's skill was much better than Tang Mo's. But Victor had been busy for the past 6 months and hadn't played at all for 2 months. It wasn't impossible that his skills were rusty. Tang Mo once again looked at both sides of the table and suddenly realized, does he want a grand slam? His lips curved into a smile and Tang Mo calmly played a card. Half an hour later, the game ended and Tang Mo opened QQ. Grinding sugar. GJ, you are just as good as before. Victor. GJ. Grinding sugar. Smiley. Victor didn't answer for a long time. Tang Mo guessed he was busy and didn't send another message. Instead, he opened another game of bridge. When he came back, he saw that Victor had sent a message. I remember you once said that there is a black tower next to where you work. Grinding sugar. Yes, it is around 200 meters away. What's wrong? Victor, recently, it seems like there may be some problems. Tang Mo saw this sentence and suddenly remembered the huckster pointing to the black tower and saying, God is coming. Victor and the huckster. Tang Mo couldn't help laughing. He laughed for a long time before sending a message back. Do you also belong to the Black Tower is dangerous faction? However, I work in that area and can't avoid it. Victor didn't continue the topic. He said a few more words before suddenly stating he was busy. The two people said goodbye and he went offline. The next day at work, the huckster didn't come. Director Wang was very surprised and asked Tang Mo, the huckster didn't come today. I think he is here more often than I am. What happened? Tang Mo replied, perhaps he is busy with his family. Director Wang waved his hand. It is better that he didn't come. Otherwise, we would have to look after him. Xiao Tang, Xiao Zhao, you worked hard today. Please find time to sort the G.category books. Sorting books was something the librarians had to do on a daily basis and wasn't as leisurely as outsiders thought. Xiao Zhao was going on a blind date that night. The young girl looked helpless at Tang Mo, making him say, you go back first. I'll do it alone. Xiao Zhao thanked him. Thank you Tang Mo. Next time, I will help you by working overtime. Tang Mo nodded lightly and didn't say anything. He worked overtime until 10 in the evening. Then Tang Mo left the library and sat on the last bus. There were few people on the last bus. Apart from the driver, there was only Tang Mo and a middle-aged uncle. The uncle was soundly sleeping in his seat and Tang Mo's phone was dead. He braced his chin and looked out the window in a bored manner. Many shopping malls in the center of the city were closed at this time. November nights were very cold, so there were few people on the street. The moonlight shone down coldly. Tang Mo looked at the flashing neon signs and the bus turned a corner. The huge black tower suddenly appeared in view. After watching it for a whole 6 months, Tang Mo wasn't interested in the tower anymore, just like many people. He just looked at it calmly. Suddenly, he saw a small bug or maybe a bird. It was too far away to see clearly. In the moonlight, the dark little thing shone as it flew through the air towards the black tower. Tang Mo watched careless as the small thing foolishly flew forward and plunged towards the black tower. Then it seemed to hit something and fell to the ground. Tang Mo watched until the bus turned another corner and the black tower disappeared. The name of the next stop rang out through the bus. Tang Mo was still stared outside the window, wondering what to eat tonight. Suddenly, his eyes widened and he turned his head quickly, wanting to see the black tower again. However, the bus had long gone and it was impossible to see the black tower behind the bus. Tang Mo's heart beat very quickly, as if it was about to jump out of his throat. After a long time, he calmed his heart. Did I see wrong? The black tower is an optical illusion caused by pollution. It isn't actually solid. This was the current mainstream view of society. Many people didn't believe the black tower was real. It could be seen but not touched. Tang Mo closed his eyes, wanting to forget that scene just now. But the scene kept playing over and over in his mind, giving him insomnia. He only managed to fall asleep in the middle of the night. The next morning, he woke up at 7:30. Tang Mo hurriedly got up and brushed his teeth. He had to catch the 8 o'clock bus. He dressed quickly, picked up his backpack and left. The moment his hand had touched the doorknob, a melodious music was suddenly heard. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bells. Tang Mo was startled and turned his head, but he couldn't find the source of the sound in the room. The song Jingle Bells kept playing. There were no lyrics but everyone knew the song. Tang Mo listened carefully and couldn't find the source. It seemed to be coming from all directions. The next moment, Tang Mo's body froze. He ran at a speed he never achieved before to the window and looked at the distant giant tower in the center of Suzhou. Colorful lights were flashing from the tower and the melody of the song was constantly changing. Once the last note fell, the lights disappeared and everything became dark again. A child-like voice spoke afterwards, in the unique high-pitched, sharp and loud tone of a child. Ding dong. November 15, 2017. The Earth is online. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The world. At this moment, all humans stopped and looked at the black tower closest to them. They had never felt that the black tower was so huge. No matter how far away they were from the tower, they could clearly see a blue dot of light that appeared on it. The blue dots flashed and formed a string of characters, like an old computer crashing. Then a row of blue words appeared in the center of the black tower, ding dong. In 3 days, all players are asked to eliminate any player. This is including, but not limited to games. The clear child's voice was heard at the same time. Tang Mo stood on a balcony and stared without blinking at the black tower. The cold autumn wind blew against his cheeks and a large drop of sweat slid down his forehead. He fixed his gaze on the black tower, but the black tower had returned to its calm state. The blue words and child's voice disappeared. Half an hour later, Tang Mo arrived at the entrance of the library. Countless people were crowded near the black tower, even managing to block the road to the library. The noisy crowd blocked the city center. Tang Mo watched for a moment before walking into the library. 10 minutes later, Director Wang came to the help desk and ordered, "There is no need to work today. Go home and wait for a notice." Xiao Zhao excitedly looked up and couldn't help asking, "Director, is it related to the Black Tower?" "The Black Tower made a noise this morning. You must have heard it. What is going on? Where did this thing come from? Is it really the end of the world?" Director Wang immediately made a cold expression. "What end of the world nonsense? As a young person, don't talk nonsense all day and look at your mess." Xiao Zhao was the youngest worker in the library, a girl born in 1996. There was a hint of fear in her round eyes, but there was more surprise and curiosity. After Director Wang left, she said, "Tang Yamo, you heard it. The Black Tower spoke. What does it mean by online and eliminated?" Tang Yamo was packing up his things to go home. He felt annoyed and spoke in a short manner, "I didn't pay attention. Do you think this is the end of the world?" "I don't think it is the end of the world where there are zombies. The Black Tower told us to eliminate players. Wouldn't that turn us into zombies? This must be a conspiracy of the country. That isn't right. The internet said that all the Black Towers in the world spoke. Which country would be able to do that? I don't think the United States would do it." Tang Yamo wasn't in the mood to discuss such things. He didn't know why, but after he heard the Black Tower and say the words that appeared, his heart started to race quickly. A normal adult heartbeat was between 60 to 100. Tang Yamo had been counting his heartbeat while Xiao Zhao was talking. He now had a heartbeat of 130 per minute. He didn't feel any discomfort. He just felt panicked, as if something was wrong. Tang Yamo looked to the left and right. The borrowing desk was in the middle of the room and the bookshelves were all around them. The left contained the humanities book while the right contained the historical books. He didn't know what he was looking for. From his line of sight, the sun shone through the window and small pieces of dust floated in the air. "Tang Yamo." The loud female voice woke Tang Yamo up. Xiao Zhao's voice contained some dissatisfaction. "I just spoke to you several times. What happened? What are you thinking about that you won't talk?" Tang Yamo wiped his face with his hand and found that his palms were wet with sweat. He turned to look at his colleague. It doesn't matter." His heart was beating faster. Xiao Zhao picked up her bag. "I want to see the Black Tower. Would you like to come with me? As I was entering the library, I saw that a lot of people were there. Should we drop by there together?" Tang Yamo quickly shook his head. "I'm going home." Xiao Zhao didn't seem happy as she waved and left the library first. But Xiao Zhao failed to visit the Black Tower. Tang Yamo saw a group of police officers escorting the crowd around the Black Tower as he left the library. They surrounded the Black Tower with white plastic. The white plastic wall started from the library doorway and blocked the Black Tower tightly, not letting people in. Many people were standing outside the wall and using their phones to take photos of the Black Tower. Tang Yamo took a photo and grabbed a taxi to go home. On the internet, the Black Tower incident had become the world's hottest headline. Tang Yamo laid in bed and checked his friend's circle. Students studying in Japan and the United States sent photographs of the Black Tower, with the text in Japanese and English instead of Chinese. Tang Yamo didn't speak, but the students studying in the United States replied to several people in the friend's circle. Yes, it was in English, not Chinese. I was scared to death. My school stopped classes and many people are marching in front of the White House, asking the government to give a statement. Right now, it is too hard to buy a ticket at the airport. I can't buy a ticket back home. My roommate is rich and will return home in the afternoon. When it spoke, it was evening here. There was also a nursery rhyme. My friend has a video and I uploaded it. Tang Yamo opened the video that this person posted. A familiar black tower was suspended over the Lincoln Memorial. It flashed with a colorful light and was particularly eye-catching. The song wasn't Jingle Bells but was clearly a nursery rhyme. After the song finished, the same high and clear child's voice was spoken in English. Ding dong. November 15, 2017. The Earth is online. What the hell was this? Tang Yamo anxiously dropped his phone onto his bed. The authorities hadn't disclosed information about the Black Tower. However, there were too many of these towers and it couldn't be hidden. People had already sent out information on the internet. On average, every 10,000 square kilometers of land would have a black tower. There were even countless black towers on the ocean. Tang Yamo stood up and walked around the room irritably. His heart wasn't calm, beating so quickly that it was like his heart was jumping out of his chest. Tang Yamo was on his 160th time around his room when he suddenly stopped. This wasn't like him. Why was he upset all of a sudden? Tang Yamo walked to the bathroom and placed his head under the faucet. Rather than worrying about a cold, he directly turned on the cold water and let it pour over his head. He felt calmer and returned to his room, pouring a glass of cold water. Then he turned on the computer and opened the bridge software. He needed to be calm. This sudden sense of anxiety wasn't under his control. Maybe it was because his heartbeat was so fast that it affected his judgment. Just now, it should have reached 150 times per minute. Tang Yamo looked indifferently at the computer screen. There were too few people who wanted to play games at this time, probably due to the big event. He waited for 10 minutes before entering a room and opening a handful of cards. The game progressed and his brain turned quickly. Tang Mo's heart gradually calmly down, just beating as fast. He played from day to night, until he was too sleepy and fell asleep in his bed. The next day, that irresistible sense of anxiety came again. Tang Yamo reopened the bridge software and continued to play cards. He played all day like this and his condition became the worst. His eyes were bloodshot and his brain was too tired. He could sleep just by closing his eyes. Then there was the sound of the QQ prompt. Victor. Have you been playing all day? Tang Yamo rubbed his eyes and replied, yes, I was feeling a bit uncomfortable. Victor. It must be uncomfortable to play for so long. Rest early. Grinding sugar. Yes. Victor. Stay away from the Black Tower. Tang Yamo had already fallen asleep at the computer table. He woke up the next morning and saw Victor's message. He hurried to reply, but Victor had already gone offline. Tang Yamo stretched and felt much better. His heartbeat was still fast but the strands of anxiety had disappeared without a trace. The Black Tower event was still being discussed online. The government didn't give any specific explanations but strongly suppressed public opinion. Many netizens could only discuss information relevant to the Black Tower in private. The discussions were also useless, as sensitive vocabulary couldn't be sent in succession. Tang Yamo opened a few posts that speculated about the Black Tower. Most people thought that the Black Tower was the result of some research. A small number of people thought it was the end of the world. However, their tone was joking so their posts weren't deleted. These people were just casually posting nonsense. In the afternoon, Director Wang made an announcement in the library group chat. Director Wang. Emergency notice. The day after tomorrow, the library will be requisitioned as a temporary research center. Please take away any personal belongings today or tomorrow. I'll say it once again. The day after tomorrow, the library will be requisitioned. The group blew up. Several old employees asked why the library was being requisitioned and where they would work. There were a few young employees who joked. The world is ending. What job? Tang Yamo looked up at the Black Tower in the distance. Then he picked up his bag and took the bus to the library. He had to admit that China was doing a good job with social stability. Apart from the people who were too close to the Black Tower and had to go home, the other public facilities were running as smoothly as usual. But once he got on the bus, Tang Mo saw that there was an ashtray in front of the driver who was smoking. A middle-aged woman complained, "Mister, how can you smoke while driving? It is annoying. I don't want to drive if I can't smoke. Or do you want to drive? Hey, how can you speak like this? Isn't smoking on the bus against the bus company's regulations? Do you think that people won't say anything if you are smoking?" The driver and the woman kept arguing, and the two female university students sitting near Tang Mo rushed to intervene. Finally, they were persuaded and the two girls sat back in their seats. One of them said, "Today is the third day." "Ah, it is as you said. It really is the third day." The girls spoke while playing with their phones. "What does it mean by eliminating players isn't limited to game mode? It has been 3 days and nothing happened. What is a game? Is it talking about a game of rock paper scissors? Hee, do you want to try it? Rock paper scissors. Ah, I lost. Then am I eliminated by you?" The two girls looked at each other and laughed. The people on the bus continued their daily lives without caring much about the Black Tower incident. Once Tang Mo arrived at the library, he saw thousands of people holding signs and confronting the armed police. They were people who were very concerned about the Black Tower incident and who really thought the Black Towers would bring about the end of the world. Tang Mo detoured around the library to the back door. It seemed that only he was anxious to come and pick up his things. There was no other person in the empty library. The shouts of the crowd outside the door echoed in the library. Tang Mo found his cabinet and took out several books. He was about to leave when he heard a dull voice from the southeast corner. Tang Mo stopped moving and looked there. A moment later, he took out a black explosion-proof stick from the security cabinet and tiptoed gingerly towards the corner. "Who's there?" There was no answer. He could vaguely hear the sound of someone around the corner. The other person was putting a book back on the shelf and pulled out another book. Tang Mo walked around the corner and shouted, "Who's there?" An ordinary young man with messy hair looked at Tang Mo in a panicked manner while holding a book in his hand. Tang Mo relaxed his grip on the explosion-proof stick and looked surprised. "Huckster, that I mean, Mr. Chen. What are you doing here?" The huckster looked stiffly at Tang Mo before giving a hollow laugh and placing the book back on the shelf. Tang Mo frowned. "How did you get in? There is a window in the east that isn't closed. I just came in to see." Tang Mo recalled that there was a window on the east side of the library. But the window was attached to the ground and connected to the basement. It was mainly for ventilation. How did this huckster get in? Did he really climb through the window? Tang Mo reprimanded him, "Mr. Chen, this is very difficult behavior. It is considered as stealing." "I'm not stealing anything." The huckster hastily denied it. Tang Mo looked him up and down, holding the explosion-proof stick tightly in his hand. He walked to the bookshelf in front of the huckster and looked carefully. There were indeed no fewer books than there was when he left 3 days ago. "Then what do you want by entering?" Ding dong. The game, "Who Stole My Book," has been triggered. At 17:52 on November 17, 2017, players Tang Mo and Chen Fangji have safely entered the game. The players have entered the sandbox, the game map is completed, the data is loaded. In an instant, all the noisy chanting from outside the library disappeared. In the empty library, a clear child's voice was heard in thin air, singing an unknown nursery rhyme. La la la, la la la. The stick moves gently, 2 players entered the house. "Don't speak for 3 days and 3 nights, the angel and demon wants it. He that who stole my book." Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. People who didn't believe in the Black Tower just watched it from beginning to end. They believed this was the result of the government's high-tech research and wouldn't do any harm to them. It was impossible for the government to harm the people. Even if something really happened, they had their leaders. As long as the top leaders were there, they didn't have to do anything, even if the sky collapsed. Those who believed in the Black Tower felt extreme fear on the third day. What is a game? What is elimination? We need a statement. Statement. Explain. There needs to be an explanation. More and more people marched, blocking the city center of Suzhou. There were also some who tried to see if they could get any benefits from this. Despite the armed police warning them off, they used the advantage in numbers and refused to leave. They would cling to the white wall and even break it. Such scenarios occurred all over the world. China was very good. Before the Black Tower incident, the country was very stable and had strong cohesion and control. In some poor and weak countries, especially those where the government deterrence was very weak, the Black Tower is a danger group occupied the government on the first day. The Black Tower is God and it will lead us to a new century. The time of the Black Tower is coming. My great and only Master, please give us the strength of new life. Grant us strength. Thousands of people knelt in front of the Black Tower, yearning for a new and better century. Tang Yamo didn't know these things. He held a black explosion-proof stick in his hand. Despite his clothes being very thin, his forehead was covered with fine sweat. The clear voice of the child sang the nursery rhyme. Once it finished, the loud and ethereal voice echoed in the empty library for a long time. Did you hear it? Tang Yamo barely spoke the words through gritted teeth. The huckster was lying scared on the ground, his messy hair blocking his eyes. When he looked up, Tang Yamo could only see a pair of eyes trembling with fear. The huckster was so frightened that he couldn't even speak. He got up and shrank back into a wall, holding his head with trembling hands and saying, What is that thing? Tang Yamo didn't know. There was no sound in the library after the nursery rhyme ended. Tang Yamo gradually calmed down. Some people would be at a loss when encountering big events and panic. Tang Yamo was the opposite. Tang Yamo was an extremely sensible person. 5 years ago, his parents were in a car accident and died. This was when he had just entered university and someone else might have broken down. Tang Yamo managed the two people's funeral in an orderly manner. It was only after everything was handled that he secretly cried and began to consider his future. Despite his quick heartbeat and feeling of anxiety in the past 2 days, he now found himself calmer than ever. Tang Yamo held the stick in his right hand and used a thick book from the G shelf as a shield. Then he approached the window. Outside the window was just white. This was a window on the east side of the library. Normally, he could see the main street of Suzhou and several famous ancient gardens from here. Tang Yamo gripped the stick even tighter. He seemed calm but he was always alert to everything around him. Every time he passed a bookshelf, he was ready to fight back. He looked at the windows on the southeast and northwest of the 3rd floor of the library before returning to his original spot. We aren't in Suzhou anymore. The huckster huddled in the wall corner and looked at Tang Yamo with horror. Tang Yamo didn't want to explain. However, he bitterly said, We are surrounded by a blank space, but this really is the library. It is probably similar to the library being moved to a big blank room. I have been working here for a year and looked at the help desk. My colleague's glass of water is still on the table, exactly like the library. The huckster seemed to realize he wasn't alone after Tang Mo's words and found the courage to stand up. He looked around and suddenly said, This is the book I hid in here last week. Tang Yamo followed the direction of his finger. I was afraid the book would be borrowed and hid it in the gap between 2 bookshelves. Tang Yamo, He was the one who originally did it. In any case, Tang Yamo was a librarian in this library and the huckster was a regular visitor. If both people confirmed that this was the library, it was certainly true. Tang Yamo took the huckster to the security cabinet and pulled out another explosion-proof stick. Right now, everything was unknown. The stick would help the huckster protect himself, and he could also be a helper if the two people encountered any danger. The two men had just arrived at the help desk when the sound of footsteps was heard from the bookshelves deep on the third floor. The huckster's eyes widened with fright while Tang Mo also started sweating. He had just been there and seen no one. Who did these footsteps belong to? The two men clutched the security sticks and stared carefully in front of them, their backs against the wall. The sound got closer and it was very irregular. It was like a child skipping on the ground. 30 seconds later, a small shadow appeared from between a bookshelf. It was a little girl with double ponytails. Despite it being later November, she was wearing a red dress and a pair of shiny red leather shoes. The noise they heard was the sound of her shoes hitting the ground. Ghost, a ghost. The huckster shrank, baying Tang Mo. But Tang Mo was also afraid. This wasn't a matter of being calm and dispassionate. What was with this special mosaic? The little girl in the red dress looked around 7 or 8 years old. She wore a delicate small skirt, small shoes, and the school bag on her back was modeled after the Disney pink Minnie Mouse. It was extremely detailed and she looked no different from a real person. It was just that her face was covered in a thick layer of mosaic. There were no eyebrows, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Only mosaic. Tang Mo gritted his teeth and suppressed the desire to knock this girl out with the stick. "Brother, have you seen my book?" No matter how clear and beautiful the voice, Tang Mo could only feel horrified when he saw this face. Tang Mo stared at the girl with a cold face and didn't answer. The little girl asked again, "Brother, have you seen my book?" The little girl looked very weak and it should be easy for Tang Mo to subdue her. However, this place was too strange and the girl with the mosaic face clearly wasn't a real person. Tang Mo didn't dare move casually and could only cooperate. He licked his lips and tried to show a king smile. "Little friend, what book are you missing?" "Brother, your smile is so ugly." Tang Mo. The little girl spoke. "My book is gone. Brother, can you help me find it? Mother is very annoying. I hate reading but she bought me so many books. These books are ugly but mother will be very angry if I lose them. Mother will kill me if the book is gone. Brother, can you help me find the book?" Tang Mo no longer made a false smile. "Who is your mother?" "Mother is mother." "Brother, you are very strange." The huckster spoke in a trembling voice from behind. "If you can't find the book, your mother will kill you." "Yes, mother will be very angry. Mother is terrible when angry." The huckster added, "Surely she wouldn't kill people." The little girl tilted her head and her right ponytail fell on her mosaic face. Tang Mo didn't know why but he felt like if it wasn't for this mosaic, the girl would be laughing right now. She looked at Tang Mo and the huckster with the dark line over her eyes. "Oh, but if brother doesn't help me find the book, I will kill brother." It was like a bucket of ice water was poured over them. Tang Mo stared at the mosaic little girl with tight lips. A moment later, he asked lightly, "Do you remember what book it is?" "I'll find it for you." The little girl shook her head and her ponytail swayed. She seemed to be thinking hard. She made a, sound for a long time before crying out, "I can't remember." Tang Mo had long guessed that would be the answer. Suddenly, the girl hastily said, "I have to go to school. The teacher will kill me if I'm late. I'll go first." "Brother, you have to help me find the book." She lifted her school bag and ran into the bookshelves again. The little girl disappeared and this bizarre game officially started. Tang Mo and the huckster had originally hidden themselves behind the help desk, not going out when they talked to the girl. The moment that the little girl disappeared, the computer belonging to Tang Mo on the help desk suddenly lit up and the two people walked over. On the blue computer background, a piece of text emerged. It was obviously a diary. Tang Mo read it aloud. November 15th, clear. I lost my mother's book. Mother is going to kill me. The huckster exclaimed, it changed. The words changed. November 16th, overcast. I passed by my mother and she still doesn't know the book is gone. Where is the book, where is the book? Mother is going to kill me. The text on the computer screen changed again. Tang Mo read it. November 17th, overcast. Mother seems to have found out. Did she find out? The words changed and he continued reading. November 18th, rain. He, mother really will kill me. Tang Mo and the huckster fell silent. Are we really going to die? The huckster muttered to himself. Tang Mo looked at the huckster. Working in the library was very boring. Every day, he had to help people. During the break, they would occasionally talk about the wonderful things they had seen today. The huckster was one of these wonderful things. He didn't seem to go to work, just coming to the library every day to read books. Xiao Zhao said that the huckster was dumped by his girlfriend and his mental state became like this. In the hearts of the staff members, the huckster was a very strange person, but also funny and pitiful. Now the huckster really looked pathetic to Tang Mo. Tang Mo looked at him with no fear. In fact, he was also afraid. However, this wasn't the time to feel fear. Tang Mo thought about it for a moment and honestly answered. Maybe we really will die. The huckster stared in despair. Tang Mo said, wait a minute, the text on the computer changed again. The mosaic girl is sensible and obedient. Tang Mo's expression twisted as he continued to read. There is only one drawback to the mosaic girl. She doesn't like reading. Her mother hates little girls who don't like to read, especially little girls who throw out their book and lie about it being stolen. However, her mother doesn't know that the mosaic girl isn't lying. She didn't throw away the book. The demon stole it. Tang Mo frowned at the word demon. The demon hates books the most. Demons are illiterate. Why should they want to read? Only those birds with wings can read. The evil demon stole the book and was discovered by the angel. He didn't burn the book and hid it secretly in a library. But the library shelves look exactly the same. After the angel left, the foolish demon couldn't find it against and let out an angry roar, this damn book. Once Tang Mo finished the paragraph, the clear child's voice rang out in the library. Ding dong. The game, Who Stole My Book, has officially started. During the game, first, violence is prohibited. Second, angels can get information about the book in the daytime. Third, the demon can burn any bookshelf at night. Clever and kind angel, the mosaic girl will be killed by her angry mother in 3 days. Do you have the heart to watch such a lovely little girl die? Tang Mo. How was she lovely? The author has something to say. Black Tower. Do you have the heart to watch such a lovely little girl die? Tang Mo. I can bear it. The first game might be a little suspense and horror, but it isn't the tone of this story. The tone is a very interesting game. Now that the game has opened, try to guess the truth of this game equals 3 equals. Chapter 4. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Tang Mo looked around. There was no one else in the quiet library, with no signs of the so-called angel and demon. Mr. Chen, can you help me turn off the computer? I want to see if I can remove a book from the bookshelf. The huckster nodded and clicked the mouse to shut down the computer. Tang Mo stared intently at the right hand of the huckster that was holding the mouse. Then he strode over to a bookshelf, pulled out a book and put it back. We can still remove books from the bookshelves. Then I would like to confirm. Mr. Chen, did you hear that voice, BDNVL? The huckster asked in a confused manner. Do you mean the voice that told us to help the little girl find the book or she will die? Tang Mo nodded and the two people sat behind the help desk. He said, it seems that we belong to the angel camp. Tang Yamo stretched out his right hand as he spoke. The huckster saw it and reacted at once. He hastily stretched out his right hand, which also had the patter of angel wings on the back. "Ah, I also have this." The moment that the child's voice said the word angel, Tang Yamo discovered that he had this pattern on the back of his right hand. The intention was obvious. Tang Yamo belonged to the angel camp. Most people in China were right-handers. He asked the huckster to turn off the computer in order to determine the huckster's camp without arousing suspicion. However, since the huckster was an angel, the problem became more serious. The huckster apparently also thought about this as he asked, "We are both angels. Then who is the demon?" The library was exactly the same as the one where Tang Mo worked. Tang Mo opened his drawer and took out a piece of chewing gum. He chewed the gum slowly and frowned at the huckster, his fingers striking the table rhythmically. "The first possibility is that the demon isn't like us. Demons aren't humans. That voice should be related to the Black Tower, and we should assume that this is a game that the Black Tower mentioned 3 days ago. There are unknown creatures in the Black Tower. Like the Black Tower, the demon isn't human. It is an opponent set up by the Black Tower." Now the huckster could completely understand. "So, the reason that there isn't anybody else in the library is because the demon doesn't exist." Tang Yamo nodded. "Yes, that might be the case. But there is a better situation. The second possibility is that the demon is a human." The huckster nervously gripped his stick. "He is hiding." Tang Yamo watched the huckster's hand that was holding the stick. Then he smiled and said, "It is possible. An unknown opponent was always more dangerous than the known danger." Tang Yamo and the huckster split up. The huckster was larger and more solid than Tang Yamo. He would look for the demon who might be hiding in the library. Tang Yamo would go down to the first and second floor of the library to check. Originally, the huckster was very afraid to do this type of thing alone. However, Tang Yamo said, "The voice said that violence is prohibited." The huckster was still scared despite this. His legs trembled when looking for someone and his grip on the stick was unstable. But Tang Yamo returned in minutes. He spoke with an ugly expression, "I can't get down the stairs." "Oh. There are 2 ways to go down from the 3rd floor. The first is to take the staff elevator and the second is to go down the stairs. I tried to take the stairs but there was an invisible wall at the entrance stopping me. Then I went to the staff elevator and it wouldn't start. There is no way to go down." The huckster started thinking. "This means we can only move freely on the 3rd floor. Then the book we are looking for is on the 3rd floor." Tang Yamo also thought so. But if the scope of the books was limited to the 3rd floor? The huckster's face suddenly became very ugly. He stiffened and his voice trembled slightly. "How many bookshelves are there on the 3rd floor?" "There are 23. The huckster's eyes widened. "Why so little?" Tang Yamo also felt helpless. Was it his decision? A few months ago, it was unknown what Director Wang was smoking. He suddenly said he would learn from the Western Modern Library experience and would transform his library. He started from the 3rd floor. The Suzhou Library had decades of history. Like other small city libraries, the facilities were old. After Director Wang renovated the 3rd floor, he replaced the original 100-plus shelves and about 23 large bookshelves connected together. Many readers complained that the shelves were inconvenient to move around and Director Wang already decided to change the shelves again next year. Unfortunately, people weren't as good as the sky. Director Wang would probably never have the opportunity to change the bookshelves again in his life. It was good for Tang Mo and the huckster if the scope of the books was limited to the 3rd floor of the library. Tang Mo was a library staff member who mostly worked on the 3rd floor. The huckster liked to read books on the occult and religion, and these books were all on the 3rd floor. Both of them were most familiar with the 3rd floor of the library. However, the fewer shelves made it easier for the demon to burn the books. The probability of the book being burnt increased greatly. Both of them were feeling worried when familiar footsteps sounded from among the bookshelves. Tang Mo really didn't know where the mosaic girl came from. The little girl was holding a small rice bowl in her hands and had a bib with a pig drawn on it tied around her neck. "How you found my book?" The huckster shook his head in dismay. "We haven't started looking yet." The little girl cried out angrily, "You haven't looked yet. I managed to sneak out during mealtime when the teacher wasn't paying attention. The first day is almost over. Once the afternoon class ends, I will go home and it is over if mother finds out." Tang Mo asked, "Do you have any clues? Do you remember anything about the contents of the book?" The little girl shook her ponytails. "I can't remember." The huckster hurriedly said, "Aren't you going to give us any clues?" The little girl suddenly made a sound. "Ah, I remember. I found this feather in my room this morning. Yes, it is the demon's feather. I knew that I wasn't the one who lost the book. It was the damned demon, he stole my book. Demons are liars. I hate demons the most. That evil demon. I must seize him, cut off his wings, put him in the popcorn machine and turn him into my favorite popcorn." The little girl placed a black feather in Tang Mo's hands and walked away. Ding dong. The angel has received the demon's feather hint. Tang Mo. The huckster. A moment later, Tang Mo asked, "This is our hint." The huckster made an awkward expression. "Does this feather have any other effect?" Tang Mo touched the feather and tossed the feather in the air. It seemed to be an ordinary feather without any magical powers. Tang Mo tried his hardest to pull out any power, but it stayed silent, like it was mocking him. At this time, the light suddenly disappeared. The huckster screamed with fright. The entire library sank into darkness, causing Tang Mo's heart to skip a beat. He was standing next to the help desk and reflexively turned on the old lamp on the table. The faint yellow light illuminated a small area around the desk, enclosing Tang Mo and the huckster. Tang Mo stared at the bookshelves covered in darkness. He endured his nerves and tired to turn on the other lights. He found that apart from the table lamp on the help desk, none of the other lights could be turned on. The two men sat on the floor, leaning against the desk. In this endless darkness, their fear became more pronounced. The library had 3 floors and this was the only place with a dim light, nowhere else. It was as if there was a huge beast hidden in the darkness. Once they stepped out, they would be mercilessly swallowed. "Do you hear anything?" The frightened huckster moved closer to Tang Mo. Tang Mo's scalp tingled and he listened carefully for a moment. "No, I don't hear anything." The huckster gulped. "How is it suddenly so dark?" Tang Mo remembered the nursery rhyme that the child had sang. "Don't speak for 3 days and 3 nights, the angel and demon wants it." The angels can get a hint during the day and the demon can burn a bookshelf at night. That is the day and night of the game time different from our normal time flow. The huckster was too scared to think at all. Tang Mo tried to calm down. "It is 2 hours. What? The game started at 17.52. It is now 19.68, so 2 hours is 1 day." The huckster was shocked. "Why is your memory so good?" The huckster only vaguely remembered the song the child was singing before. It seemed like a time was mentioned. But he was so terrified that he hadn't paid attention to the time, let alone remember it. Yet Tang Mo actually remembered. In fact, Tang Mo was also very surprised. He found that his memory now seemed surprisingly good. For example, he remembered the little girl had a pink bow on her mini bag and was holding a pink lollipop in her hand. Since when had his memory been so good? There was no time to think about it now. Tang Mo spoke calmly. "Let's assume that 2 hours is 1 day. The rhyme said to not speak for 3 days and 3 nights. This means the girl will die 3 days later. So, let's presume that nighttime is also 2 hours. At night, the demon will come out to burn the bookshelf. In the following time, Tang Mo and the huckster stared wide-eyed at the 23 dark bookshelves. The game forbid violence, but an unknown fear swept over the two people. They were afraid to relax and held tightly to the explosion-proof sticks, as if getting some type of psychological comfort from it. However, an hour and a half passed and they didn't see a single person or a burning bookshelf. The huckster asked, "Is there really a demon?" Tang Mo's lips tightened and his gaze turned to the huckster. "There should be. Then why hasn't he burned the bookshelf yet?" Tang Mo leaned against the help desk and said meaningfully, "I also want to know why he hasn't burned the bookshelf yet." The huckster didn't understand him. Tang Mo gripped the stick as he watched the huckster with deep eyes. "Mr. Chen, why do you think the demon hasn't burned it yet?" Boom! A loud explosion was heard in the library. Tang Mo's wide eyes moved to the place where the explosion began. He saw flames swallowing up a bookshelf. The huge flames in the library seemed terrible, as if it would burn everything up. Tang Mo and the huckster stared from beginning to end. However, they never saw anyone appear from there, even when the flames went out. On the second day, the little girl appeared again with her Minnie Mouse schoolbag. "You haven't found my book yet. My mother went to visit the mole uncle's home today. I managed to hide from her and she hasn't discovered that my book has been stolen. I can't hide it forever. She will find out. When will you find the book for me?" Tang Mo's face was pale and he rubbed his temple. "Do you have any clue about the book today?" The little girl was very dissatisfied. "I told you that I don't remember. If I don't remember then I don't remember." "This is the second day," Tang Mo reminded her. The little girl didn't speak at these words. But Tang Mo could feel that under the mosaic, the little girl was giving him a strange look. She said, "You are an angel and have read so many books. You will certainly know that book." "I'm not an angel. I hate reading books. How can I have a clue about the book?" "You should know." Ding dong. The angel has received the second mosaic's contempt clue. Tang Mo. The author has something to say. Tang Mo. I really can't kill her. Chapter 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The mosaic girl bounced away after leaving that strange tip. Tang Mo took a deep breath and endured his desire to kill the little mosaic girl. It was now daytime. The demon had disappeared and the angels could walk freely. Now that they had been in this strange place for a few hours, Tang Mo and the huckster were no longer so nervous. The two people took their sticks and walked to the burnt-down bookcase. Tang Mo squatted down and looked at the bookshelf that had been burnt to ashes. There were 23 bookshelves on the 3rd floor of the library. The one that burnt this time was the 9th shelf from the help desk. It was the Category I bookshelf, with most of the books being about domestic and foreign travel, geography and some religion books. Now they were all burned to ashes. The wooden bookshelf was pieces of black charcoal on the ground while the books were small piles of black and gray ash. Tang Mo reached out and touched the black ash. "It isn't hot." The huckster looked at him. "It isn't hot." Tang Mo nodded. According to the child's voice, the bookshelf burned all night, so it is plausible that it isn't hot. But based on our own time flow, it was only half an hour ago. Not to mention how such a large bookcase and more than 10,000 books could be burned cleanly without an hour. This can't be explained with the common sense of humanity. The huckster thought it was obvious. This is burned by the demon. Of course it can't be explained by science. The things happening to them were beyond the scope of theoretical science. A few more occurrences and they wouldn't be afraid of itching lice anymore. The huckster was obviously more concerned with the problem of finding the book. He gulped fearfully. Didn't the little girl say that the angels know the book she lost? Tang Mo, do you know any books? The huckster paused before adding. I know too many books. I have been reading in this library for 1 year and don't know what books I've looked at. Tang Mo wasn't very anxious. I have been responsible for the book entry project on the 3rd floor. I certainly must know more books than you. The huckster stared at him and started sweating. Then what do we do? It is the 2nd day. Tang Mo didn't answer as he walked around the pile of black ash. The huckster kept speaking. He roughly recalled what the little girl said when she appeared but couldn't find any conclusive evidence. Thus, he urgently cried out, Tang Mo, what do we do? Don't worry. Tang Mo squatted in front of the ashes and looked up at the huckster. The sunshine from outside the window shone on his face. He smiled slightly and said, the most important thing now is why did the demon burn down the bookshelf? The huckster suddenly froze. There were 23 bookshelves. According to common sense, the probability that the demon would burn the book was March 23rd. The premise was that the angel didn't find the book in advance. The huckster thought about it and explained. The child said that the demon couldn't remember which bookshelf he hid the book on. Thus, he should be burning it randomly. Perhaps. The huckster ran his hands through his hair. We have to hurry and find the book. If we can't find it, we will be finished. The books I read recently are on this bookshelf and... The huckster's face being a bit ugly. The burned bookshelf as well. Tang Mo, what about you? Tang Mo stood up. I see too many books. Every day, I have to sort the books. The huckster looked dignified. He looked at the books on the shelf next to him and the ashes on the ground. He seemed really nervous as he kept repeated what the little girl had said. In fact, if other normal people encountered such a situation where they saw ghosts and other strange things, it was also possible for them to be forced into this strange mental state. Tang Mo reached out and grabbed a handful of ashes. He glanced at the huckster walking back and forth and suddenly remembered. I recently organized a bookshelf. Around 3 days ago, the director asked B to tidy up the H-type bookshelf. The footsteps of the huckster stopped at once as he looked at Tang Mo, 3 days ago. The timing is so close, maybe it is here. The two people went to the H-type bookshelf and made a dumbfounded expression. There are more than 12,000 books on the H-type bookshelf. Tang Mo stated a number. The huckster spoke calmly, what is considered finding the book? If we take out all the books on the H-type shelf and find the correct one, does that count as finding the book? The rules of the game didn't mention it. The game only said that angels would get a hint during the day and demons would burn the book at night. If they found the correct book for the Mosaic Girl, it would be counted as completing the task. Would it be a success if they simply took the right book out of the bookshelf? Tang Mo didn't think of this. He said, if we hurry up, we can probably take out all of the books within 2 hours. They did as he said. The huckster excitedly pulled out books while Tang Mo also honestly grabbed them. They split into two and completed the task from both sides of the bookshelf. Time passed quickly. Tang Mo had been taking out a book on the Qing dynasty when night came. He wanted to touch the next book but found he couldn't remove the book from the shelf. It was dark and the huckster spoke in a horrified manner. I can't get the books out. Tang Mo muttered, I also can't get it out. The two people left the bookshelf and headed back to the help desk. They turned on the only lamp that could be lit. In the dim light, Tang Mo and the huckster leaned against the table, intently staring at the H bookshelf. They couldn't see anything in the darkness, but they knew that a bookshelf would be burned within 2 hours. Once the flames were blazing, they would be able to clearly see everything in the library. In times of such stress, time passed by extremely slowly. The huckster's eyes were bloodshot and he looked like a homeless man who hadn't slept for 3 days. He had chapped lips and snow-like dandruff in his hair. Only his hands were very clean and his nails trimmed well, as if to preserve the owner's last dignity. The second night happened at 23.52 and the next day would come at 1.52. The clock on the library rang as the hour hand reached 0. We've known each other for a year. The huckster had turned his head like a frightened animal when the ringing sound occurred. After a long time, the huckster relaxed. He seemed to be thinking something as he looked down at the ground illuminated by the light and said softly. It is more than 30 days, it is a year. Tang Mo was still staring into the darkness as his lips curved. Your library card has a 1-year deadline. But looking at the currently situation, perhaps you won't need it later. Still, you should have finished reading all the occult and religion book on the 3rd floor of the library. I would have finished them in 2 days. That is a pity. Neither of them spoke again. A long time passed before the huckster said, I know you often say behind my back that I am neurotic. There are really many things in this world that can't be explained by science. You didn't believe me before and thought that the words I said every day were crazy. But the things we encounter today, can you explain it with science? Tang Mo was silent for a moment. I can't explain it. The huckster agreed. Yes. God had really come. The age of God has come. Our prophet, our holy master, he hadn't forsaken us. The black towers that came to earth, they are the true manifestations of God. You and I have been chosen by it. It was once Jesus, once Buddha, and now it appears as the Black Tower. We have the opportunity to be one of the 12 apostles and then we can get true salvation. Tang Mo smiled. Then why are you afraid of it? The huckster. They were talking about death. Why was the huckster afraid if he thought that the Black Tower was a display from God? He should be willing. The two people didn't chat again. Fortunately, this night wasn't long. In the last 10 minutes of the night, there was a loud boom and a bookshelf was lit on fire, the ceiling reflecting the red light. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed. The huckster suddenly jumped up from the ground in a panicked manner. This is the H bookshelf. The H bookshelf. The third day, the little girl running out from the bookshelves had changed into a black skirt. She didn't carry a small schoolbag this time. Instead, she had a small basket that contained a variety of delicious food. She didn't even look at the 2 burned bookshelves as she walked past them, running straight to Tang Mo and the huckster. The mosaic muttered angrily, Where is my book? Tang Mo asked another question instead of replying. You don't have to go to school today. The little girl's expression was hidden under the thick mosaic, but her cheerful voice revealed her excitement. Today is the autumn outing. I like the autumn outing the most. There are small sheep, white rabbits, and wallabies. They are so big, so big. The little girl stretched out her arms to try and show the size. She swallowed the saliva in her mouth. The small sheep's thighs are the best to eat while the white rabbit's eyes are like sugar balls. The wallabies are hard to eat but my mother likes them. I will help her by bringing one back. The huckster was pale and shivered with fear as he listened to the little girl. Tang Mo turned to look at him. Mr. Chen, it seems that you aren't in very good spirits. The huckster asked him, Aren't you afraid? The demon knows what we are doing during the day. He deliberately burned the H-type bookshelf. Luckily the book wasn't on that shelf or we might have failed. The little girl's face suddenly changed. My book. Tang Mo looked at her. Do you remember anything about the book today? The little girl didn't start the mosaic's contempt again. She directly used the eyes hidden by the mosaic to look at Tang Mo like he was a fool. Why is the angel as stupid as the demon? I know. In fact, you want my book right. The evil demon, he knew the book. He knew that it was worth a lot of money. That is the present my mother bought me for my birthday and he deliberately stole it. He knew that the book was given by my mother and that my mother would be angry. Are you helping me find my book? The little girl suddenly pulled out a huge match from the basket. You don't want to help me find my book. Ding dong. The angel received the third is my friend not looking for the book. You are going to die, hint. The little girl threw her basket away fiercely and held the match that was the size of her head. She stepped towards Tang Mo and the huckster. Tang Mo looked down at her, waiting for her to come closer before saying in a strange tone, I dislike children, especially mischievous children. The little girl's footsteps suddenly stopped, as if she had been stabbed in the feet. She hurriedly said, I never did any mischief. I hate pranks. Who said I was mischievous? I would never do any mischief. I am an obedient and sensible little girl. Tang Mo didn't answer. The huckster looked at him nervously. Tang Mo. Why was he provoking her? The little girl repeated to herself 10 times, I never do any mischief. I am a good girl. Then she raised her mosaic face and lifted the large match. You aren't helping me find my book. Tang Mo had walked to a bookshelf while she had been saying these words. He took out a book from the G.type bookshelf and looked at the little girl. Yes, you never cause mischief. You just burn things and kill people. The little girl hurried to hide the match behind her. Tang Mo shook the secret behind the Mayan civilization's disappearance in his hands. Isn't this what you are looking for? The author has something to say. Mosaic. I am an obedient and sensible good girl. I might set fires and kill people, but I am still a good girl. Oh, this chapter has revealed the biggest truth. If you haven't guessed it yet, I will give you 3 tips. The H.shelf was burned down. Mosaic's 3 tips, extract the really important information. Mosaic likes arson and killing, but she is a good girl, not a demon. Chapter 6 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah, my book. The little girl ran towards Tang Mo at a speed that humans couldn't reach, grabbing the secret behind the Mayan civilization's disappearance and holding it to her chest. She held the large match in her left hand and a book in her right hand. After determining that it was the book she lost, she ran into the bookshelves to sit down and started to read. My mother will test me on the book tomorrow. I have to read it quickly. In this large and spacious library, the sound of the little girl reading the book was loud. The huckster's face became extremely pale and his lips turned blue as he stared at the mosaic girl with the book in her hand. It seemed like he had just been pulled from the water. In just a few minutes, the huckster's hair was soaked with sweat. He looked at Tang Mo and smiled bitterly. It turned out to be that book. When did you figure it out? Tang Mo looked down at the huckster's right hand holding the stick. On the back of the hand, the white angel wing pattern gradually turned black and became demon wings. Tang Mo's voice was very calm. From the moment I saw you. The huckster's eyes widened with disbelief. How can that be? The little girl sat on the floor reading the book and didn't seem to hear any noises. The game ended, so Tang Mo and the huckster headed to the reading area of the library and sat down in the chairs. Tang Mo looked at the mosaic girl in the distance. In this whole library, she was probably the only one with the patience to read right now. The huckster's timid fear disappeared. He sat in front of Tang Mo and started talking about the truth of the matter. I pulled you into this game. This was surprising for Tang Mo. The huckster said, it was an accident that I sneaked into the library. I sneaked in before you entered the library. As you know, many of us unemployed people will spend time at the library. Once it is closing time, the security guards will find us and drive us out of the library. However, the security guards can also make mistakes. Your library is too close to the Black Tower. After the "Earth is online" message was issued, I chose to observe the tower from here. Then on the 3rd day, I heard it speak to me while I was reading a book. The huckster raised his eyes and looked at Tang Mo with a serious and fanatical expression. He seemed to be seeing a great existence instead of Tang Yamo. It told me that the game was about to begin. The huckster looked obsessively at the air and repeated, I was chosen by it. Tang Yamo didn't chat with him. All employees of the library knew that the huckster was just a crazy religious person, not neurotic. After a while, the huckster calmed down except for a slight flush on his face. He said, the game selected for me was a 1 vs 1 game. I couldn't finish it alone. I was thinking about leaving the library and finding someone to start the game with. Then you came in. I knew you, and after thinking for a moment, I deliberately made a sound to bring you over. Now I think that was the most wrong decision I've ever made. Tang Yamo asked him, what is the penalty for failing the game? What is elimination? The huckster shook his head. I don't know, it didn't say. The words you heard are the same as mine. It never said anything extra. It just told me that the game opponent is chosen by me while the game target is up to you. That's fair. Before the game officially started, I didn't know it was a book-hunting game. Perhaps it is because you are a librarian that the game chose a suitable identity. Then the huckster paused and looked earnestly at Tang Yamo, how did you find me? In fact, this matter was very simple. You aren't a madman nor a fool. Your reason for sneaking into the library wasn't very good, and every performance after I met you was fearful. God Chen, you are a fanatical religious person. The man who said to me that, the Black Tower is God. I believe after 3 days, he wouldn't be panicked and fearful when selected by the Black Tower for a game. He would enjoy it instead. The huckster's stick fell heavily onto the chair. It was like this. Tang Yamo continued, it was just a suspicion. I couldn't be sure if that was how you would really react. Then how did you know it was me? Because the game is fair. The huckster looked at Tang Yamo with confusion. Tang Yamo touched the angel wings on the back of his hand. I also like to play games. A game I often play can be considered one of the fairest card games in the world. In the game of bridge, skills can be stronger than luck. Meanwhile, a game like stud is one where luck can be stronger than skills. But these games are equivalent in that they are absolutely fair to both sides of the game. After the game starts, luck can also be a type of strength. Both sides have no gaps in their strength, it depends on who has good luck or bad luck. The game itself is fair. The huckster couldn't understand his words. What does this have to do with our game? Tang Yamo looked at him. Don't you think this game is very unfair? What? There are only 3 rules in the game. First, violence is prohibited. This has a profound meaning, but I won't talk about it right now. Second, the angels can get a hint during the day. Third, the demon can burn a bookshelf at night. It seems that the angel has to find a book among hundreds of thousands of books. That makes the game very hard. Meanwhile, the demon has a 3/23 chance of winning the game. The huckster suddenly understood. Do you mean that this game is unfair to the angels? No, Tang Yamo smiled and shook his head. It isn't fair to the demon. The huckster looked stunned. For angels, the game has a way of solving the problem. He just needs to find the book based on clues. But the demon can only do one thing. That is to burn the books. He doesn't get any hints to tell him where the book is. Then the game becomes like this. The angel is playing a puzzle game while the demon is making a pure gamble. The angel can rely on luck and skill to complete the game. The demon can only rely on luck. The huckster argued, but the probability of the angel finding the book is much lower than that of the demon. It can be said that after the game started, luck became a type of strength. The demon didn't burn the book and his luck is 0. That is no different from the angel. There is also the violence is prohibited rule of the game. This completely stops any possibility of the demon forcibly getting a clue. Then the demon will have to find clues from other places. The huckster had a pale face and couldn't speak. After a long time, he gave a heavy sigh and helplessly laughed. I should play more games. Tang-mo, the bridge game that you play often should be fun. Maybe I should play it afterwards. If there is a chance, then I will take you to play it together. The huckster smiled and nodded. Tang-mo's eyes narrowed. If the person I was playing with was him, perhaps the outcome of this game would be completely rewritten. Who is he? Tang-mo smiled. A friend I often play bridge with. He is very powerful. He would be able to think of all these things and then lie to me perfectly. At least, he wouldn't make the mistakes that you did. The huckster didn't feel ashamed. Instead, he humbly sought advice. What mistakes did I make? I thought I performed well. When I saw you, I thought you would find my loopholes and acted afraid. Afterwards, I took the opportunity to talk as little as possible, not doing much and just listening to your orders. But you still made mistakes. For example, when I said there was no one in the library except for us and that I don't know where the demon is, he said, he is hiding. There are 2 people in the angel team. A normal response is to subconsciously think there are 2 people on the demon team and to use they instead of he. The huckster said, I am suddenly very interested in this game of bridge. I thought I could expose you on the first night, but I didn't expect the bookshelf to actually burn. I thought you had a partner. But that isn't realistic. The demon having 2 people and the angel having only 1 person is unfair to the angel. Unless the Black Tower thought that 2 people added up to one of Tang-mo. Tang-mo coughed and didn't say those words. I thought about it on the second day. Who really helped you set the fire? There were 2 possible answers. The first is that as long as you think about it, the bookshelf will catch fire. You don't need someone to help you control it. The second possibility is that someone helped you set the fire. The 2 of us and the little girl are the only ones in the library. She is the only one who can help you set the fire apart from the Black Tower. The huckster said, I didn't even know she would help me set it on fire. It is understandable. Don't forget, the little girl hates reading books. She would be willing to help if you want to burn the bookshelf. This reason is plausible. By the way, I looked at her hair when she came there. There was a bit of the tail that was burnt. Maybe it was accidentally burnt when setting the fire. The huckster collapsed in the chair. I am convinced of my loss. Tang-mo originally wanted to say more, but he shook his head and smiled when he saw the huckster's appearance. There were many things that the huckster didn't notice, such as how Tang-mo tricked the huckster into burning the H-type bookshelf. Another example was the little girl's 3 tips that long exposed the identity of the huckster. The 3 tips contained a lot of nonsense, but there were 3 main points. First, the demon would lie. This was an indication for the angel. The demon will hide his identity and stay by your side. Secondly, the angel knows this book. This hint seemed useless because Tang-mo knew too many books. Even the ones he recently read, there were at least a few hundred. Third, the demon knows the book. This meant it was a book that both Tang-mo and the huckster knew. The scope was still very wide. The huckster had been reading books for a year in the library. There were at least 1,000 books that both him and Tang-mo knew. However, the difficulty of this game wasn't so large. If the game wasn't able to be passed, both players would end up eliminated. Therefore, the answer must be something that Tang-mo and the huckster could think of. Tang-mo's first thought was the secret behind the Mayan civilization's disappearance. It was a book that Tang-mo and the huckster had talked about before the Black Tower incident. If both of them were asked which book was the most memorable, it was absolutely this book. The huckster absolutely wasn't stupid. The fact that he could think to act fearful and his realistic performance was already very good. Tang-mo suddenly thought that if this was Victor, Tang-mo's initiative would be taken away the moment both of them entered the game together. Victor would definitely not put himself in a weak position like the huckster. The huckster's actions were to make Tang Mo ignore him and to make less mistakes. However, this meant he lost the ability to reverse Tang Mo's ideas and mislead him. If it was Victor, what would he do? At the same time, in the distant capital, a tall and handsome man dressed in a striking military uniform strode into the meeting room. He took his seat in a corner of the conference table. His eyes were like an eagle's as he looked at the scientist who was speaking and the text on the big screen. 3 days ago, the Black Tower was in a phantom state. We call this the Type A mirage. In the past 6 months, we have done a variety of experiments to test the relevant data of the Black Tower. In the meeting room, the scientists discussed it fiercely. In the end, the chief speaker said, "Today is the 3rd day. What conclusions have you come to?" The scientists were all silent. Fu Wenduo was the lowest ranked here and silently moved to look out the window. In the dark sky, there was a large black tower, sharp like a knife, that hung on top of Beijing's 21.72 million people. It was 3:42 a.m. on November 18, 2017. There was 4 hours and 18 minutes until the 3-day elimination period ended. The library. The huckster sweated nervously in his chair, his shivering lips exposing his uneasy inner heart. Right now, no one knew what it meant to be eliminated. Maybe they might just lose the game, maybe something more. At that moment, the sound of footsteps was heard from the depths of the bookshelf. The little mosaic girl ran over to Tang Mo with her book. The 2 ponytails swung beautifully in the air. It was difficult to hide her joy and she handed the large match to Tang Mo. "You are an angel. Since you found the book for me, I will give it to you." Tang Mo didn't know if he should laugh or cry as he accepted the big match. He couldn't help asking, "Are you the little girl who sells matches?" In a flash, the thick mosaic on the little girl's face showed a gap. Tang Mo's eyes widened as the mosaic over the little girl's eyes disappeared, revealed a pair of big eyes that were like a dead fish. The other places were still covered by a mosaic. It was only the eyes that were exposed. Tang Mo held his breath, wary of this strange change. The dead fish eyes glared at Tang Mo, filled with deep contempt. "Uncle, you haven't grown up yet. Have you ever seen such a lovely little match girl?" Tang Mo who turned from brother to uncle. She lost the mosaic just to express her contempt. The author has something to say. Mosaic. You are the little girl who sells matches. Your family is the little girl who sells matches. Tang Mo. My family only consists of me, smiley face, Fu Wenduo who was about to enter the family. Chapter 7 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. As if she really was just expressing her contempt, the mosaic on the little girl's face returned to normal after finishing this sentence. She handed the giant match to Tang Mo and ran into the depths of the bookshelves. Her long ponytails swayed as she jumped and the little figure vanished into the shadows of the bookshelves. Ding dong. The game, Who Stole My Book, has been completed. Calculating game clear rewards. Player Tang Mo has won the game and obtained the rewards, Giant Match and Mosaic's Contempt. Player Chen Fangji has failed the mission. The clear child's voice echoed in the empty library and entered Tang Mo and the huckster's ears. Generally, games always had rewards. Even online card games gave some type of rewards. Tang Mo had already guessed that this big match was probably his prize. But what was the Mosaic's Contempt? Wasn't it a mission clue? It was actually a game reward. Tang Mo's face paled and his heart became complicated. Compared with him, the huckster was worse. The huckster was the loser of the game. Along with rewards, there were usually punishments. Losing in an ordinary game might cause a person to lose money. Nobody knew what would happen when losing in a Black Tower game. The Black Tower didn't talk about the punishment. The huckster paused for a long time before slowly turning to look at Tang Mo. I will die. Tang Mo didn't have an answer to this question. He spoke comforting words. It shouldn't be that serious. The huckster suddenly gained confidence. I believe you. You are so smart and your words make sense. God wouldn't be so cruel. He will bring hope and rebirth, that is my God. Tang Mo held the giant match and looked calmly at the huckster who was muttering madly. Not knowing the punishment for the first game made Tang Mo uneasy. It was like the calm before the storm. This type of behavior didn't conform to the common sense of games and often represented a more fearful and unpredictable result. However, Tang Mo inwardly comforted himself. If the punishment for failing the game was really death, wouldn't half the people on this world die? How could billions of people die? It should be impossible. It was impossible. The game was over but the library still hadn't returned to normal. Tang Mo and the huckster tried but they still couldn't go downstairs. At the same time, the outside of the third floor windows were still blank space. They haven't returned to Suzhou yet. Time passed and Tang Mo and the huckster were trapped on the third floor of the library. The clock on the wall had just passed 6 o'clock when Tang Mo's body suddenly tensed. An unknown panic swept over his mind. His heart starting beating quickly again. His pounding heart seemed like it would fly out of his chest. Tang Mo held onto a bookshelf but his body wasn't stable and he ended up slumped on the ground. The huckster hurried over from a distance. What happened? The too fast flow of blood caused Tang Mo's face to become red in a minute. Every inch of his skin was a scary red, as if he was a cooked crab. The huckster took a step back with fright and horror. Then he plucked up his courage and walked to Tang Mo's side. Are you okay? You are so red and your face is hot.do. You have a fever. Tang Mo's heartbeat was too fast but his mind was still awake. He tried to speak. Heart. The huckster immediately knew and touched Tang Mo's chest. Why is your heart beating so fast? This is 200 per minute. No, it is 300. Tang Mo was unable to speak, otherwise he would correct it to 394. They couldn't get out of the library and there were only two people inside, Tang Mo and the huckster. Tang Mo had suddenly become like this and the huckster was helpless. He could only push all the things off the help desk and place Tang Mo lying down on it. After this, the huckster ran to the bathroom, dipped the toilet paper in water and placed it on Tang Mo's forehead, hoping it would help. Tang Mo's heartbeat had now reached 532 beats per minute. He didn't know how fast the human heart could reach but he felt like his heart might explode at any second. For some reason, his heart acted inconsistently with medical knowledge and persisted tenaciously. The huckster kept running to the bathroom, grabbing wet toilet paper and placing it on every inch of Tang Mo's bare skin. Tang Mo could feel that this type of behavior didn't help, yet he was grateful that the huckster was trying to help him. He couldn't speak. He could only watch the sweating huckster with red eyes. After a full hour, Tang Mo counted his heartbeats and found that his heart rate had actually dropped. The huckster thought the cold was effectively and quickly ran a few more times, placing wet toilet paper on Tang Mo's eyelids. Tang Mo didn't know how long it was before he could move again. He took off the wet toilet paper and got off the table with trembling hands. The huckster had just left the bathroom and saw this scene. He came running and asked, "How are you?" Tang Mo opened his mouth and found that his throat was dry. He swallowed his saliva a few times before nodding with a smile. "Good, it seems to be better." "That's good. I was scared to death." The huckster sighed with relief. Tang Mo looked at the huckster seriously. "Thank you." The huckster shook his head. "It's okay. I couldn't just leave you lying there." The relationship between the two of them was very confusing. On the one hand, the huckster pulled Tang Mo into an unknown game, causing him to fall into uncertain danger. At this point, the two people should be distant and wary of each other. On the other hand, the game was over and it was just like playing an ordinary game. Tang Mo's body suddenly became like that and the huckster didn't ignore it. It might not have actually helped but Tang Mo couldn't be ungrateful. After this incident, the relationship between the two people became closer. The huckster asked, "Why did your heartbeat suddenly become so fast?" "My father is a doctor and that isn't normal. For a normal person, once their heart rate reaches 250, the heart can't supply blood and the person will die within minutes." Tang Mo thought about it and decided to tell the huckster. "Your heartbeat hasn't accelerated in the past few days." The huckster shook his head. "No," Tang Mo frowned and explained. "It started 3 days ago. My heartbeat suddenly became fast. It wasn't as fast as today, but it did reach 300 beats per minute. At the same time, I became very annoyed. This irritability might be because of the Black Tower. I am not in the Black Tower is dangerous faction but I'm not someone who thinks the Black Tower isn't a big deal. I can understand the irritability. However, I can't understand the heartbeat. Do you have an illness?" "It happened after the Black Tower event and I haven't been to the hospital to check." The huckster thought about it. "Then you should go see a doctor. I've never heard of this illness. Not dying after your heartbeat goes over 300 beats per minute, I am afraid you are the only one in the world." The huckster joked, "Perhaps you might be recruited by the country and used as a research mouse. Maybe it is better that you don't go to the hospital." Tang Mo smiled. Click. In the silent library, the sound of the door opening was suddenly heard. Tang Mo and the huckster exchanged a glance. This was the sound of the door on the first floor of the library opening. The two people quickly ran downstairs, with the force keeping them on the third floor of the library completely gone. They used their fastest speed to run to the mahogany door of the library's main entrance. The key turned in the lock and the door was pushed open. Long-lost sunshine shone through the crack in the door, shining on Tang Mo and the huckster's face. This warm feeling was the real sun, not the fake one during the daytime of the game. Tang Mo blinked as the warm temperature soothed his body. "Tang Mo, how are you here?" A bright female voice was heard. "Did you come early to get your things?" Tang Mo's eyes widened. "Xiao Zhao." Tang Mo remembered that he came to the library yesterday to collect his things because Director Wang said the library would be requisitioned by the government. It took him a few seconds to organize his thoughts. "Did you come to get your things?" Xiao Zhao smiled. "Yes. My parents think this Black Tower thing is too bizarre and plan to go to our hometown to avoid it. We will leave at 10 o'clock, so I came to collect something." Didn't I ask you first? Why did you come so early? What are you holding in your hand, a match?" The huckster. Cough, why is he here? Xiao Zhao looked at the huckster, who swallowed nervously. Tang Mo calmly explained, "I met him when I came to get a few things and we chatted for a bit." "You had a conversation with him?" Xiao Zhao muttered. She looked up and said, "Then I will go in to get my things." "I won't chat with you." The young girl said this and took a step to enter. Just as one of her legs was about to enter through the door, Tang Mo's eyes widened and his pupils trembled. Zhao Yan. Zhao Yan was Xiao Zhao's name. She had come to work at this library 6 months ago and few people would shout this name. Now Tang Mo shouted it loudly, causing Xiao Zhao to look at him strangely. "What is it?" Tang Mo's lips opened slightly but he couldn't say anything. He just looked at Xiao Zhao's lower body with a strange expression. Xiao Zhao looked down and clearly saw it. She fell to the ground, moving her hands. "What is this, what is this? My legs! My legs!" Tears overflowed in an instant. She was a young girl born in 1996 who just graduated from university. She touched her lower body with both hands but there was nothing there. In Tang Mo's eyes, there was an invisible line at Xiao Zhao's thighs that was rising to her upper body. Wherever this line approached, everything would disappear. It was like something was erasing Xiao Zhao from this world. He didn't know when this line had appeared, but Xiao Zhao's calf was already gone when he discovered it. She was totally ignorant and still standing while talking to Tang Yamo. Tears and snot dripped down Xiao Zhao's face as her waist disappeared. She moved towards Tang Yamo and grabbed his trousers with both hands. She cried out, "Help me, brother Tang, help me. What's wrong with me? Brother Tang, help me." Tang Yamo stretched out his hand and took Xiao Zhao's hand. However, he had just held it for 2 seconds when the line reached Xiao Zhao's arms and her hand disappeared. The transparent line came to Xiao Zhao's neck. Her head lay on the ground, looking up at Tang Yamo with tearful eyes. It was strange and scary. "I don't want to die, Dad, I don't want to die. I haven't talked about love yet or liked anyone. I want to go back to watch cartoons. I haven't finished the novel I read yesterday. Mom, Dad, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Brother Tang, help." Her mouth was gone. The wet eyes stared at Tang Yamo until this person disappeared. Within a minute, a living person disappeared. Tang Mo's brain was blank. At this moment, the thing that scared him the most was how incredibly calm he was. He looked at the place where Xiao Zhao disappeared for half a minute. Then he suddenly thought of something and turned to look at the huckster behind him. In the dark library, the area below the huckster's thighs had disappeared. He looked at Tang Yamo with a pale face, revealing a fearful and miserable smile. Tang Yamo, this is the penalty for failing the game. Huckster. Bang. The huckster's stick fell to the ground. Tang Yamo immediately rushed up and held the huckster's hands. The huckster wept, tears flowing down his face and snot sticking to his lips. He clung to Tang Mo's hand and like Xiao Zhao, he repeated over and over, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die, Tang Yamo, help me, I don't want to die." Tang Yamo was powerless. He pressed his hand on the areas that hadn't disappeared. But once the line crossed it, the area disappeared and he was only touching air. There was only the upper body left. Tang Yamo cried out, "Don't be afraid. There must be a way." The huckster cried. "There is no way. I don't want to die, I really don't want to die, Tang Yamo, you save me. You are the one who eliminated me, so save me. Help me." Tang Yamo couldn't say anything. The huckster no longer spoke. He just kept crying and crying. Time became extremely slow. As his chest was about to disappear, he suddenly gripped Tang Mo's hands and looked at him with bloodshot eyes. He hissed out, "I have a daughter. She is in Shanghai and her mother and I are divorced. Help me by checking to see if she is still alive. Her name is Shanshan, Chen Shanshan. She must live, she must be alive. Help me by looking for her." The huckster's hand disappeared. "Help me, Tang Yamo. I beg you, please help me. She must be alive." Tang Yamo asked, "Where does she live?" "She lives in the Jingyan district and is studying at the Bailey School in the 1st grade. She." The huckster's mouth was gone. His eyes were fixed on Tang Yamo. The transparent line reached his ears and he stared at Tang Yamo without blinking. His eyes were frightening, as if he had exhausted all the strength in his body. "I will find her and she will surely be alive." The line had completely erased the huckster's ears, but his eyes suddenly relaxed. He was still crying without any words. He only looked at Tang Yamo and blinked before his eyes disappeared. A tear fell to the ground. Tang Yamo was kneeling in the library entrance. Xiao Zhao had disappeared outside the door while the huckster disappeared inside the door. The bell for 8 o'clock rang through the library and Tang Yamo was still kneeling on the ground with the 8th gong rang. "Sleep, sleep, my dear baby. Mother's hands are gently shaking you." A gentle and kind female voice was heard throughout Suzhou. Tang Mo turned his head stiffly and looked at the black tower 200 meters away from the library. Colorful lights flashed on the black tower. One day ago, there were thousands of people around the tower. Now, only 7 or 8 people were sitting on the ground like Tang Mo. They looked up blankly and watched the black tower sing the lullaby. Once the female voice finished, a group of children's voices sang with the female voice. Sleep, sleep, my dear baby. Mother's hands are gently shaking you. The cradle shakes and you quickly fall asleep. The night is quiet and warm. The voice sang over and over again. The wind blew over the earth, bringing this song to distant places. Once the song finished, the familiar child's voice rang out. Ding dong. 498.16 million players successfully loaded the game. Game saved. The game data is loading. Players' information is loading. Save is successful. Loaded successfully. Loaded successfully. Ding dong. November 19, 2017. I welcome all players into the game. Announcing the 3 iron-clad rules of the Black Tower. First, everything is explained by the Black Tower. Second, 6 o'clock to 18 o'clock is the game time. Third, all players please attack the tower. Ding dong. Happy games. Chapter 8. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Tang Mo didn't have time to grieve or feel fear. The huckster and Xiao Zhao had disappeared completely, leaving no clothes or belongings behind. Therefore, he didn't need to clean up anything. Tang Mo closed the door and left the library. There were 7 or 8 people gathered under the Black Tower. Some of them were sitting on the ground, not understanding what had just happened. Why did the companions they had been marching and shouting with disappear in a matter of minutes? In addition to those people, there were also the 2 middle-aged elite men at the White Wall. The white plastic wall was put up 3 days ago by the armed police. The Black Tower was enclosed inside and the wall stopped ordinary citizens from approaching. Now the armed police and scientists working at the White Wall had disappeared. The 2 men created a large hole in the white wall and approached the tower. Tang Mo didn't follow them. He watched from a distance before moving forward. Many scientists had studied the tower for half a year without a clue. Tang Mo didn't think he could figure out what the Black Tower was. The first problem Tang Mo encountered was that he didn't have a car. It was 8:15. At 8 o'clock, the huckster and Xiao Zhao had disappeared. Like them, most people in the city were gone. Without a driver, the buses and subways couldn't move. In addition, many people were driving when they disappeared. Now those cars crashed into one another, blocking the road. Tang Mo walked half a kilometer and found a yellow bicycle. He took out his phone and scanned the QR code. It is useless. Tang Mo frowned before kneeling down to observe the structure of the yellow bicycle. After 2 minutes, he picked up a stone from the ground and started to bang it against the lock. The huge shock made Tang Mo's wrist feel uncomfortable, but his strength was much higher than before. The steel lock was smashed with 2 hits. Tang Mo looked thoughtfully at the lock he had broken and rode the yellow bicycle home. 40 minutes later, he entered his community and parked the yellow bicycle downstairs. The community was silent, with no one around. Only the sound of the wind blowing through the leaves was heard. Tang Mo arrived home and packed some clothing. Tang Mo was his parents' only child and his grandparents had passed away when he was a child. After his parents died in a car accident, he lost contact with his relatives. Tang Mo had a few good friends who didn't stay in Suzhou after graduation. One went to Beijing while the other went to Shanghai. The huckster's daughter was also in Shanghai, so he could go and find his friend. Tang Mo had been trapped in the library since yesterday morning. At home, he filled up his stomach and packed a few more clothes. His things were packed but there was a serious problem. He didn't have a car. From Suzhou to Shanghai, it took half an hour by a high-speed train and 1 hour by car. The high-speed train was certainly not operational now, and Tang Mo didn't dare imagine the situation on the railway lines. If it was like the streets where countless drivers disappeared, there would be many accidents. On the railroads, the unmanned trains probably all crashed into each other. He needed a car. Tang Mo went upstairs and knocked on his landlord's door. There was no reaction, so after 3 minutes, he raised the iron bar he brought from his home and broke open the door. The heavy smell of gas was heard as soon as he entered. Tang Mo hurriedly ran to the kitchen to turn off the gas stove and opened the window for ventilation. There were still chopped vegetables on the kitchen table. The owner of this house was preparing to cook a delicious breakfast before they disappeared. Tang Mo had left his school a year ago and rented a house. The landlord was a very good old couple who lived upstairs. The old husband and wife were retired and had nothing to do. They sometimes invited Tang Mo upstairs to eat with them. Tang Mo didn't have a car and used to borrow the landlord's. He took the car key from the drawer under the TV cabinet and looked around. He found there was really no one in the house and left. Shanghai was close to Suzhou and wouldn't consume much fuel. However, Tang Mo discovered that the landlord's car really had no fuel left. The pointer was approaching the red line. Based on this amount, the car would stop halfway to his destination. He could only go refuel first. Tang Mo inserted the key into the keyhole and turned it to the right. As soon as he started the car, there was a sharp burst of pain from his heart. It was like a big hand was pressing hard on his heart. Tang Mo paled in an instant and his heart throbbed, the blood in his body flowing at an extreme rate. His temperature soared at an unimaginable rate. 40 degrees Celsius in a minute. However, the high temperature of 40 degrees didn't burn Tang Mo's brain. He was still awake and clearly felt a sharp knife cutting at his heart. His body temperature was still climbing and the pain from his heart gradually increased. Tang Mo hit the front passenger seat with a fist, but this didn't relieve the pain. The intense pain made him slowly lose consciousness. 10 hours later, Tang Mo woke up and it was dark. His clothes became soaked with sweat while he was unconscious, dried naturally and then soaked with sweat again. He didn't know how many times this repeated until his heartbeat returned to normal and the uncomfortable pain disappeared. Tang Mo's expression was still a bit ugly, but his eyes were extremely sharp and bright. He touched his chest and found that his heart had resumed its normal beating. He checked the rest of his body and didn't discover any abnormalities. Then he reached out and grabbed a book from the air. He pulled a book entirely out of thin air, but Tang Mo's face didn't look surprised. It was a book that looked like a notebook. The cover was yellow-brown cardboard and the inside was blank. Tang Mo stared at the blank page carefully. Under his gaze, words started to appear on the white paper. Ability. Don't give money for eating, owner. Tang Mo, type. Special type, function. Collecting abilities. Note. Everyone has a dream in their heart. Don't give money when eating. Don't look at Tang Mo as an exemplary role model. In his heart, he has always wanted to do this type of thing. At the age of 7, Tang Mo stole the chocolate of his neighbor's child but didn't give any money. At the age of 10, he copied the work of another person at the table and didn't give money. At the age of 15, he sneaked out the first herbal medicine table, calcium, and didn't give money. You see, he just wants to consume everything without giving money. Tang Mo. This was insane. Tang Mo almost wanted to slap the book into the wall. Fortunately, he endured it. This was his ability. Once Tang Mo woke up, he knew that he had an ability. His ability wasn't wind or lightning, nor was it an innate power. It was a book that made people want to slap it. Tang Mo looked through the book, but there were no words other than the first few lines of information. He examined it for half an hour without any clues. Then after a long time, another line of words appeared in the book. Note. Do you still think Tang Mo will give money? Friend, he is thinking about going to the gas station. Will he give money? Tang Mo. Bang. A book was thrown out the window. A minute later, a handsome young man got down from the car and picked it up blankly. The book was placed on the passenger seat and Tang Mo didn't look at it again. He drove the car to the nearest gas station. There was nobody at the gas station. A few refueling pipes had fallen casually to the ground, the pungent smell of diesel filled the air. It was estimated that the employees had disappeared while refueling. Tang Mo paused before getting out and took his wallet from the back seat. There was clearly no one at the gas station, but he still shouted, "Is anyone there?" After getting no response, Tang Mo went directly to a refueling station. This station already had a card inserted in it that was common for employees. Each staff member at a gas station had a card with a very high quota. They would draw the fuel costs directly from the card in order to refuel the driver. Tang Mo didn't own a car and didn't have a private card. He could only refuel the car with the staff card. In the quiet and empty gas station, the tall and thin dark-haired young man quickly filled up the fuel. The dark night always made people feel nervous. This was originally a busy area of Suzhou, but now there was nobody. Only Tang Mo stood under the bright light, refueling his car. The darkness seemed to be hiding something and a sharp wind whistled past. Tang Mo put the refueling pipe back. He was about to leave when he thought of something and his expression changed. He pulled out 200 yuan in bills and placed them under a stone on the ground of the gas station. He was about to get up and return to his car when something cold pressed against his lower back. Tang Mo remained in his bent-over position and didn't move. Don't move. Hurry up and pull out your wallet. Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The weather was cold in late November and Tang Mo was wearing a wool sweater and a coat. A cold and sharp object was pressed against his lower back, poking a small hole in his thick clothes. Tang Mo maintained his bent position without moving. He realized that it was a knife. The man couldn't wait. Damn it, give me your wallet. Quickly. Otherwise, I'll cut you up. Tang Mo said quietly, if you pull the knife back a little bit and let me stand up, I will give you my wallet. Stop speaking nonsense. The man moved the knife back a little bit. Tang Mo stood up, sensibly not turning around as he handed over his wallet. In just a moment, his wallet was taken away. The rough male voice yelled, "Fuck, is that it? That car is yours, is the key in it? It is in. Don't move or I will hack you to death." Tang Mo didn't turn around as the knife was removed from his lower back. He heard the other person open the door and try to start the car. After confirming that it would start, the door was slammed shut. Tang Mo asked loudly, "My baggage is in the trunk. Can you let me take it?" The car started for a moment before stopping again. The man said impatiently, "How can you speak about such trifling matters? Your baggage is also mine, fuck off. It is getting colder. Let me take some clothes. Brother, I will freeze to death on such a cold night. Just one piece of clothing is good." The man swore a few times before opening the place, placing the knife against Tang Mo's waist again and said coldly, "Hurry up and take a piece of clothing. Otherwise, I will be forced to kill you." Tang Mo turned around and saw this person clearly. The man had greasy hair and there were gray spots and stains on his clothing. After discovering that Tang Mo was looking at him, the man seemed like a frightened animal that didn't want others looking at him. He gulped and said, "Hurry and take your clothing." He had used the knife in the past. Tang Mo nodded. This man was a thief. Tang Mo walked to the trunk and opened it. "What is this thing?" "A match." The man asked with a strange expression. Tang Mo leaned over to take his suitcase and his hand ended up slashed by the lock on the trunk. The sharp lock crossed the delicate skin of his palm, leaving only a shallow mark. Tang Mo's eyes narrowed and his left hand directly grasped the match, forcibly swinging it behind him. What is this match? The giant match slammed into the man's head, causing blood to flow out. Tang Mo didn't expect this match to have such great power. In his hand, the match wasn't heavy and it felt like an ordinary wooden match. But there was that loud noise just now and it felt like an iron stick was in his hand. Listening to the man's voice, he seemed to be feeling great pain. It was likely that a normal man's head would have been smashed. The man just staggered back and raised a bloody face, looking angrily at Tang Mo. I will slice you apart. He raised the knife and rushed over. Tang Mo's chest was tight as he escaped to the right while raising his left foot, slamming it into the man's belly. The man cried out and the knife slashed at Tang Mo's lower leg. His pants were instantly cut but the sharp blade only left a shallow, fingernail-like mark on Tang Mo's skin. The knife made a creaking sound, like it had hit something hard. The man clutched his stomach and rushed over again. Tang Mo reacted very quickly, raising the match to meet it. The sharp blade and the wooden match collided with each other and there was a loud sound. The knife broke in two. Tang Mo. The man. Tang Mo didn't think that the match had such great power, but he quickly recovered and waved the match at the man. The man was very close to Tang Mo due to the previous slashing action and he couldn't escape from the stick. However, just as the match was about to hit his head again, countless red bills suddenly fell from the air. Tang Mo had never seen so many 100 yuan bills. It was like a small hill. The countless 100 yuan bills fell from the sky, forming a wall between the match and the man. It served as a buffer for the man and he was only knocked to the ground. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The man trembled and begged for mercy. Tang Mo stopped the action of a blow. He lowered the match and leaned down to touch the money. Where did you get so much money? Where did they come from? These were real 100 yuan bills. The man looked at the giant match with fear and explained, I am a thief. This morning, all the people on the street suddenly disappeared and I stole a lot of this. This afternoon, I ran to a bank and took all the money that could be found. This wasn't what Tang Mo wanted to know. Where did you hide the money? The man raised his right hand and showed him a light blue tattoo on the wrist. I took it out from here. When I stole the money, I found that I could place the money in this tattoo. I've had this tattoo for a long time and can only store money in it. Just now, I was almost killed by you and subconsciously took the money out of the tattoo. Tang Mo nodded and looked down at the tattoo on the man's wrist. There was a flash and a half-foot-long knife emerged and headed straight for Tang Mo's eyes. Die for me. The giant moved quickly through the air. Tang Mo didn't block as he broke the knife. The red matchstick moved in an arc and struck the man's head. There was the sound of something breaking and the man's eyes were huge, as if he couldn't believe Tang Mo and the match in his hands. Then the heavy body crashed to the ground. Tang Mo's face changed as he touched the man. He's dead. Tang Mo watched the dead man with a complicated expression. He stared for a moment before raising the man's right hand and carefully examining the pattern on the wrist. The night was too dark and he had been a bit far away. Tang Mo didn't notice until now that the tattoo was a yuan symbol. Then he picked up the man's left hand and found that the tattoo on the wrist was that of a knife. Tang Mo watched for a moment. Suddenly, the tattoo disappeared and two knives appeared on the ground. His heart jumped and he looked at the man's right hand. The yuan had also disappeared and there was another pile of 100 yuan bills on the ground. Tang Mo headed to the car and took out a book. He turned to the second page and as expected, new lines of text appeared on it. Ability. I have a worse spiritual field than a protagonist, owner. Qian Sankuan, stowaway, type. Special type, function. Seal the object in contact with the body and present it in tattoo form. Grade. Level 2. Can store 2 types of inanimate objects. Limit. Only objects of the same type can be stored and no bodies can be stored. Remark. Qian Sankuan never imagined that not only was his spiritual field worse than a protagonist's, he would die from a match. The words were all black and at the bottom, there was a line of red words. Tang Yamo version usage instructions. Disposable items. Only the same type of object can be stored. Not replaceable. Friend, think about what you want to store. Stowaway. Tang Yamo stared blankly at this word for a long time but couldn't think of anything. He could only temporarily give up. He might want to slap the book but this was his ability. Tang Yamo quickly understood the man's ability and how to use it. Qian Sankuan was a thief and he also awakened an ability. His ability was to store inanimate objects in his body that could be used at any time. As long as they were the same item, the number of storage capability was unlimited. Tang Yamo didn't know what the ability grade was, but it was assumed that this ability could be upgraded. Qian Sankuan could only store 2 types of objects. He chose money and knives. Truly a short-sighted money. In this situation, money had no effect and was just a waste of paper. However, Qian Sankuan was reluctant to give up money. Qian Sankuan was a bit clever. He knew how to deceive Tang Yamo by saying his money was stored in a previous tattoo, not revealing his own ability. This gave him the chance to attack Tang Yamo with the knife tattoo. Fortunately, Tang Yamo had never relaxed his vigilance. Unfortunately, if the second object that Qian Sankuan was another type of weapon instead of money, he might have had a chance to survive. Tang Yamo looked at the cold corpse of Qian Sankuan on the ground and then the knife and money. He didn't hesitate to press the giant match against this wrist. There was a red flash of light and the match disappeared. Then a small matchstick tattoo appeared on Tang Mo's left wrist. The power of the giant match was beyond Tang Mo's expectations. Storing the match meant it could be used as a hidden weapon. It would be less threatening when he later met people like Qian Sankuan. Tang Yamo looked down at read the book. The name of Qian Sankuan's ability had become, ability. I have a worse spiritual field than a protagonist, used. He turned to the first page again. The first page recorded his own abilities and nothing changed from before. But Tang Yamo didn't give up. He stared at the book. After 5 minutes, a line of text slowly appeared. Remark. Tang Yamo clearly knows that when he killed that man, he ate everything from the other party and didn't give any money. Tang Mo's eyes became smaller and the fingers holding the book trembled. Is it really only murder? A minute later, another line of words was seen. Note. But how can I tell Tang Yamo that he could get other people's abilities without killing? Tang Yamo. Bang. A book was mercilessly tossed by its owner into the pile of money. 3 minutes later, Tang Yamo coldly picked up the book. He grabbed a handful of bills and buried Qian Sankuan in his favorite thing, money. After completing all of this, he took the book and continued driving to Shanghai. The author has something to say. Tang Yamo. Can I apply for a change in abilities? / equals _ smiley face / ability baby. You can't, degree *, fu when duo. When do I get to come out, _? Let me give you a bit of an explanation. I have a worse spiritual field than the protagonist. Qian Sankuan's ability can be regarded as a spatial power, but unlike the characters of other stories, his ability can only store inanimate things. His field doesn't allow him to farm and grow rich. Chapter 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The road from Suzhou to Shanghai was blocked. Before accelerating to a high speed, Tang Yamo had to push 2 vehicles that were blocking the road. Yes, he pushed the cars away alone. After the Black Tower incident, Tang Mo discovered that his physical condition and psychological qualities had greatly improved. Let's look at the change in physical conditions. His strength increased, his eyesight improved, his recovery capacity increased and his skin became as hard as iron. When Qian Sankuan allowed Tang Mo to open the trunk to get his clothes, Tang Mo had deliberately tested the hardness of his skin against the trunk's lock. The palm of the hand was one of the most delicate parts of a human body. The sharp lock moved across his palm but there was no wound or even pain. Therefore, Tang Mo decisively decided to fight Qian Sankuan. It was precisely because of this increase in physical condition that Qian Sankuan's knife failed to cut through his calf to his bones, only leaving a trace of blood. In addition, there was the improvement in psychological quality. Tang Mo had never won a certificate of merit as a student but he also never did anything bad. He wasn't a petty thief and was too lazy to cheat on exams. This was the first time he had killed someone. It might be self-defense and an accident, but he had killed Qian Sankuan. Yet apart from the momentary panic and helplessness, he soon calmed down and thought about what to do next. He didn't know whether he had become cold-blooded because of the change in his body or if this was actually him. Tang Mo looked at the book in the passenger seat before shifting his gaze back to the front and continuing to drive. Due to the need to clear the road, the 1-hour drive was stretched out. The sky was the white of dawn when Tang Mo just entered the boundary of Shanghai. He was 2 kilometers away from the toll station when he saw 7 cars rear-ended and blocking the highway. Tang Mo got off and touched a car. Creak. There was the loud and clear sound of tires moving across the ground. The 7 cars were seriously collided. The front 4 cars had been crushed while the fend in the middle of the expressway was crooked. Tang Mo moved from the back car towards the front car. He exhausted half his strength and finally reached the first car. A luxury car. Tang Mo laughed loudly. The first car was a Maserati sports car. The fiery red body was smashed. A luxury car was hit like this. The tires were stuck and not rolling around. The cold winter wind blew as Tang Mo forcibly pushed the Maserati. He prepared to open the door of his car when he suddenly stopped moving and turned. Who? The only answer was the rustling of wind. Tang Mo didn't open the door. He stood by the car with his finger pressed to the match tattoo on his wrist. He coldly asked again, "Who's there?" There was still no one. Tang Mo wasn't in a hurry as he stepped towards the pushed Maserati. He placed his feet lightly and his body was tense as he remained alert to possible changes. He placed his hand on the Maserati's damaged body and was about to pull it open. Then he heard a trembling voice. "Don't, I thought I'm coming out. I'll come out myself. I mean no harm." Tang Mo raised his head and looked at the young man who walked out from behind the Maserati. It was a black-haired young man with a height of 180 centimeters, wearing a thin white shirt and jeans. His clothes were torn and stained with blood. He had several injuries on his body but they were scarred and no longer bleeding. In the cold wind, the man's lips were purple and his hands trembled as he raised them. He walked out of the car and watched Tang Mo in a horrified manner. "I'm the owner of this car. I don't have any ulterior motives. I saw you earlier. If I was going to attack you, I would have done it when you were pushing the cars." Tang Mo watched him for a moment before asked, "Why didn't I find you when I was pushing the car?" The young man explained, "I was hiding under the highway. It is too cold here. The area with grass is a little warmer. I was driving back to Shanghai from Nanjing yesterday morning. I had just arrived in Shanghai when the car behind me suddenly crashed into me. When I woke up, I found myself thrown out of the car window. However, I wasn't dead. Then I discovered." There was a hint of fear on his face. "I found no one in the rear-ended car. There wasn't even a drop of blood." Tang Mo looked at him indifferently and didn't relax his vigilance. "They have disappeared. You might have been unconscious due to the car accident and missed the black tower announcing the start of the game. Now there are less than 500 million people left in the world. The others. Tang Yamo pointed to the rear-ended cars. They had disappeared. The young man's eyes widened in fright and he froze in the cold. He looked at the cars who rear-ended him before looking back at Tang Yamo and whispering, "My family is in Shanghai." "You are going to Shanghai? Can you take me? I saw that you are strong enough to push these cars out of the way. I will give you however much money you want if you give me a ride." Tang Yamo heard these words and smiled softly. The young man was bewildered. Tang Yamo replied, "I am going to Shanghai. It doesn't matter if I give you a ride. But do you think that money is still useful in this world?" The young man was startled and his face gradually whitened. It seemed that he only just understood what type of world this had become. Tang Yamo got into his car and the young man got into the passenger seat. Tang Yamo quietly lifted the book on the seat and put it on his side. He had just placed the book when it slowly disappeared. Tang Yamo was a little surprised but quickly regained his calm. Then he drove with the youth to Shanghai. "My name is Li Wen." The young man wrapped himself in the coat Tang Yamo lent him and said with a shiver, "Thank you. I just woke up less than 2 hours ago and ran to the front toll booth. However, no one was there. I didn't know what to do and returned to my car. It wasn't long until I saw you. You really have a lot of strength. My windbreaker was in the car but the car was crushed. I couldn't get it out and also died of being frozen. My name is Tang Yamo." Then he asked casually, "You don't have a lot of strength?" Li Wen shook his head. "It isn't very much. I can't push the cars away and I also couldn't take out my windbreaker." "But you aren't dead." Li Wen stared blankly at Tang Yamo. Tang Yamo drove with one hand and spoke lightly, "There was a big car accident but you survived. You haven't lost your arms or legs. Don't you think something is strange?" Li Wen was dumbfounded. Tang Yamo didn't say anything more while Li Wen looked down and didn't know what to think. However, his thoughts were revealed by the expression on his face. Tang Yamo glanced at him and knew this person must be thinking about what changes were happening in his body and how he was still alive. Tang Yamo seemed to be driving easily but his attention was always on Li Wen's body. During these times, being alone might be safest but having a companion was a good thing. Li Wen should have participated in a Black Tower game like him and won. He couldn't take this type of person lightly. But based on his observations, Li Wen seemed to be a silly and rich second-generation son who wasn't a threat. If he really let such a silly person stay on the highway, Tang Yamo thought that this person might really die. Li Wen spoke. "Can you tell me, what did the Black Tower announce while I was unconscious?" Tang Yamo briefly described the Black Tower incident. "Are you going to Shanghai to find relatives?" "I am very familiar with Shanghai. Do you need help?" Li Wen asked. Tang Yamo had been to Shanghai several times but he wasn't a local person. It would be hard to find someone. He said, "I am going to the north to find a student. I only know her name and plan to find her file at her school. If she isn't at school, I will go to her home to find her." There was nothing he could do if she wasn't in any of these places. This was the only thing he could do for the huckster. Tang Yamo didn't mention that he was planning to find a friend. Everyone had something to keep back and he didn't want to have a heart-to-heart with Li Wen. Li Wen asked, "The north of the city?" "It is in the Jingyan district. My home is there and I went to junior high there." "I'll go with you." Tang Yamo looked curiously at Li Wen. Was this person really silly or was he so shrewd that Tang Yamo couldn't tell what he was thinking? Tang Yamo thought that it was likely to be the former. Li Wen wore the coat and spoke a lot more once his body became warmer. "We will go down the highway and pass through the city first. At that time, I will help you find the person. Do you know what class the child is in? If you know the class, then it is easier to find the file. I only know her name. Yes, she is in the first grade. Li Wen nodded. That makes it a little easier to find. Li Wen hesitated for a moment before asking, can I ask Tang Mo, do you know? What is happening with the Black Tower? Why did some people disappear and some people not disappear? He said so much when he just wanted to ask this sentence. Li Wen had been unconscious until now due to the car accident. He missed a whole day and didn't have a lot of information. He offered to help Tang Mo for a reason. On the one hand, he wanted to thank Tang Mo for bringing him back to Shanghai. On the other hand, he wanted to obtain information about the current situation. However, his question showed that he didn't participate in the Black Tower game. Tang Mo frowned slightly. People could survive without playing the game. He licked his lips and pondered for a moment, thinking about how to answer Li Wen. But as he prepared to speak, a loud and cheerful song rang out through Shanghai. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's all say thank you. We will all say thank you. On this special day. The children's chorus sounded after the bright female voice. The pleasant and joyous song wasn't compatible with the dead city, but they continued to sing. Tang Mo braked directly while Li Wen raised his head in a panic. They stared at the Black Tower hovering over the center of Shanghai. After the entire song of thanks was sung, the flashing lights on the Black Tower disappeared. Tang Mo held his breath and stared at the Black Tower. Then he heard, ding dong. In China District 1, stowaway Fu Wen Duo has successfully opened the first floor of the tower. After 3 minutes, players in all of China's districts will begin to attack the tower. Ding dong. In China District 1, stowaway Fu Wen Duo has successfully opened the first floor of the tower. Ding dong. In China District 1, stowaway Fu Wen Duo has successfully opened the first floor. The Black Tower broadcasted the information 3 times. Tang Mo's eyes widened as the phrase, begin to attack the tower, constantly echoed in his ears. The next moment, his vision turned black and his entire body fell. The author has something to say. Black Tower. Thank you Fu Wen Duo. Sprinkle flowers, oh, asterisk greater than over equal to less than over equal to, sugar sugar. Who is Fu Wen Duo? I want to chop him up. Fu Wen Duo. Hashtag my wife wants to chop me up. What should I do? Hashtag.